Hello, Chris Samardage, Brotherhood of Light Show Current YouTube channel. And this week is a very special week for me. It's a tribute to the San Francisco 49ers and their Super Bowl appearances and their stadiums, Kezar, Candlestick, and Levi. So I am a native San Franciscan, and I have been a fan for 63 years and some odd change. And I went to my first 49er game when I was 7 years old at Kezar. So let's get on with the show. So here it is, Chris's San Francisco 49ers Stadium Experience, Kezar, Candlestick, Levi, 1961 to 2023, the 49ers. Included in the show will be the Beatles, Paul McCartney, Rolling Stones, and Led Zeppelin and the Grateful Dead, along with all the pictures of the Super Bowl teams. And let's get on with the next one. All right, so here's some posters of the events that went on in the 49ers stadiums over the years. We've got the Beatles at Candlestick in 1966, and we have the closing of Candlestick with Paul McCartney. Then we have the SF Snack concert in Kezar Stadium, and we have the Rolling Stones at Candlestick in 1981, and then we have the 1981 Super Bowl champion Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, and then we also have the five Super Bowl trophies, not six yet, with the last one with Steve Young. So anyway, that's just some posters of the what you're going to see to come in the show here. So we're starting with the 49ers in Kezar Stadium, 1949 to 1970, and in the first slide on the right you can see the Kezar lit up at night, and you might remember that's where they filmed the Dirty Harry movie, where he chased the psycho killer at the end of the movie. And I used to work there with my parents. We had, and my family, my uncles and my dad, we had a concession stand, and I would sell programs when I was a 7-year-old kid until I was like 14, and I would go and I would hang out and work the first half of the game, and then I'd be able to see the third quarter and the fourth quarter. And I remember a special game where the 49ers had the ball around the 50-yard line, and they fumbled, and the defense Minnesota Viking guy picked up the ball, started running. Of course, the whole audience, 50,000 people, gasped. And then all of a sudden they started cheering because the guy was running the wrong way. He was running to score a touchdown or a touchback for the 49ers. He got confused and ran the wrong way. And the audience cheered him on, and they scored 2 points. And it's a famous play. So anyway, that's the Kezar stories. Okay, so we got Kezar Stadium, 1970. There it is in Golden Gate Park. And to the left, at the top of that picture, is the Haight-Ashbury part of town. And so it was on the corner of Golden Gate Park, and in 1970, they played a playoff game against Dallas, and they lost. And I was at that game. And then they moved to Candlestick. So Bill Graham, in 1973, decided to put on concerts at Kezar. So we've got the Grateful Dead, Waylon Jennings, New Riders, the Purple Sage. And there they are playing at Kezar in 1973. And then a week later, in June 2nd, they had Led Zeppelin, and I believe the opener was the Tubes. And there's Led Zeppelin. There's the scoreboard at Kezar behind them. And then there is Robert Plant playing in front of 100,000 people. And we'll get the next story on this one. Okay, so here we are at Led Zeppelin on the top row, and the tickets were $6 and $7. And I think the similar price, the Grateful Dead, down below here. And the funny story is Led Zeppelin was 2 hours late, and there's the promoter, Bill Graham, on the right-hand top corner, and he's just looking miserable, like he's got 100,000 people sitting there waiting for this band to go on stage. And there's two members of Zeppelin. And then here in the bottom left is what they've torn down the old stadium, and they've made it into like basically college, high school stadium. They left up the arch at the other end. So that's Kezar today. Okay, so this is the last event at Kezar, and somewhere the funds got cut for school activity, sports. So Bill Graham and all the bands from San Francisco decided to do they called it the snack concert, and it was the Doobie Brothers, Jefferson Starship, the Grateful Dead, Joan Baez, Neil Young, Tower of Power, and so they did this concert, and they raised a bunch of money so they could continue the sports program in San Francisco, and there's like 100,000 people, and also Bob Dylan showed up. So it was in March of 1975. So that's it for Kezar. Then they tore the place down and created it into a high school football stadium, more or less. So meanwhile, we've got a quick Candlestick concert here. We'll get to the Niners. Candlestick 1966, the last show the Beatles ever played, so it's pretty monumental. And there's the famous poster by David Singer, and there's the Beatles entering to go on stage and play. So here is the Beatles playing their last concert. There's the tickets from KYA Radio, and there they are playing out in this sort of outfield. And that's it. That's the last concert. It was Candlestick Park, so it's kind of famous just for that alone. So, being a 49er fan since 1961, and now it's the 81 season, and the Niners are winning, and they end up with Joe Montana and Dwight Clark with the catch and going to the Super Bowl and winning it. And so they started a streak of wins at Candlestick Park, 1981, 1984, winning seasons, 1988, and 1989, all with Joe Montana winning Super Bowls every year. So with some added players, Jerry Rice came into the fold and Roger Craig, so we'll get to that. Also, the notable thing that happened that year in this Candlestick 1981 is the Rolling Stones played 2 days at Candlestick Park. There was close to 90,000 people. They pretty much destroyed the field. You can see that crowd on the field there. And there's the backstage pass and Keith Richards from the show. And but that year, the Rolling Stones played. They went to the Super Bowl and won it. We'll get into that later. And then here we go. Monsters of Rock was in 1988 with Van Halen, Scorpions, Dokken, and Metallica and Kingdom Come. So that's another big concert and another year they went to the bowl. So quick glance at this thing. Van Halen, Scorpions, Dokken, Metallica, and Metallica is the world's biggest hard rock band. And Van Halen at that point was, and there's a ticket, and there they are as young men. Metallica, so another monumental Bay Area happening. Okay, here we go. We got the 49ers in 1994 with Steve Young, Jerry Rice, and they make it to the Super Bowl in Miami, and I was lucky enough to go there, and there's my ticket. And they wiped out the Chargers, and that's the last time they won a Super Bowl, but we're going to see what happens this year. So we had Jeff Garcia, and we got Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Frank Gore, And 2012, they made it to the playoffs, but lost the NFC Championship. And then 2013, they made it to the Super Bowl, but they lost to the Ravens. And so anyway, there's the Niners, sort of the 2000s, more or less. So they're about to tear down Candlestick Park, and Paul McCartney decides to play the last concert, the last event at Candlestick Park. So there he is. And in Candlestick 2014, there's Paul McCartney, plays the last concert. And the shot behind me is the audience filtering in. And then they just tore it down to the ground. I don't know what they're doing with it now. I think it's just an empty area. So anyway, Paul comes back and plays Candlestick. So the Niners moved down to Santa Clara and build Levi Stadium, and it opens in 2015. And or no, it opened before that. And so one of the big events there was the Grateful Dead Fare Thee Well tribute concert 50 years later. And so the Dead, once again, they played at Kezar, and now they're playing at the new stadium. And there's the famous Rainbow, and Bob Weir, the lead singer of the Grateful Dead, or one of them, is a big 49er fan. He was at the last championship game, and he went to the Super Bowls. And so there it is, Santa Clara Grateful Dead reunion concert. So the 49ers have been playing in Levi, but they get a new coach, Kyle Shanahan, and the team started getting better. They started getting all these superstar players. And this year, the Rolling Stones play in Levi Stadium, 2019, to coincide with the Niners going to the Super Bowl. So the 2019 season with Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, there they are on the left, and they end up winning the season and getting the first seed. And they end up winning against Green Bay and going to the Super Bowl that year. But unfortunately, they lost to Kansas City. Here is the Super Bowl team from 19 and 21. They made it to the playoffs. And here's some of the key players. Devo Samuel on the left. Got Robbie Gould. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, you got George Kittle, Nick Bosa, and Fred Warner. So there they are. These guys are the core team, but a couple of them have left since then. But this is the core team for 2001 and 2019. So 2021, at the end of the season, they beat the Rams to get in the playoffs. They get a wild card berth. They go to Dallas. They win against Dallas, which you can see Debo running for a touchdown. Then they play Green Bay and won 13-10 with a bounced field, a blocked kick that turns into a touchdown. And Garoppolo was the quarterback, but they went to L.A. to play the championship game. And they lost, but you can see San Francisco, they decorate their buildings with Niner colors and logos. But now the long story is I made this show thinking they were going to make it to the Super Bowl, and I wanted to launch it, and then finally they're making it to the Super Bowl. So 2022 season, they start out with Trey Lance. He gets injured. They have Jimmy Garoppolo in there. He gets injured. They got a third backup, this guy Brock Purdy. He's the last guy in the draft, and he ends up taking them all the way in 2022 to the NFC Championship game. And there's the team right there. And they also got Christian McCaffrey, this running back. They acquired him during the season. So we thought we were going again, and the Eagles ended up busting both quarterbacks and the Niners lost the NFC Championship game in 2022. So as a tribute to the 2022 team, they light up City Hall in colors, Niner colors. But once again, we didn't quite make it. We got a little revenge to have to play on the Eagles. So they go to play the Eagles in the 2023 season, which is this year. Now it's 2024. And they beat them 42-19. They get that revenge. And Christian McCaffrey got Ayuk on number 11. And Purdy is pretty damn good. And Trey Greenlaw on the right there becomes a hero in one of the playoff games this year with 2 interceptions. So the team is firing on all cylinders in 2023. Okay, folks, it's playoff time at Levi Stadium. They've won the first seed, and they're going to get 2 playoff games. And for the 2023 season, playoffs in the Bay. So they make it to the playoffs, first seed. We end up playing Green Bay and winning against Green Bay to move on to the NFC Championship. Now they're playing at Levi Stadium, and the Lions come in to play the San Francisco 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. And as you can see, the NFC Championship, the Lions 31, San Francisco 49ers 34. In a complete nail-biter, they were down by 17 points in the first half. The Niners came back and won the game and got the rights to go to the Super Bowl and play Kansas City. So here we go, Victory Sunday. There's Purdy raising the trophy for the NFC. And there he is. And when the game has been won, with his finger up. There's Ayuk catching the game-winning, unbelievable grab that bounced off the helmet of a Lion. And here is the whole group, the championship 2023, and they're going to the Super Bowl. And here's all the Super Bowl appearances: 1981, 1984, 1988, 1999, 2000. I can't even read it. 1994, the one I went to, 2012, 2019, and now 2023. They're going to the Super Bowl. Congratulations. And they're going to play the Kansas City Chiefs. It's February 11th, 2024. In 13 days, go 49ers. Now we have some interesting facts coming up on the next slide. So I was listening to a broadcast on one of the Bay Area's back in 1998, and they said there's a Rolling Stones connection with the Rolling Stones playing the Bay Area and the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. So I started to study that and realized there was a little something to it. Stones play every 4 or 5 years. The Niners seem to get in the Super Bowl every 4 or 5 years. So here it is. I'll just start with the first one. Okay, the 49ers, win the same year the Rolling Stones play. Okay, so they either make the playoffs or they make the Super Bowl. Okay, so they lose round 1 in 1972, and the Rolling Stones played Winterland. They win the Super Bowl in 1981, and the Rolling Stones played their stadium. In Super Bowl 1989, the Rolling Stones, they win the Super Bowl, and the Rolling Stones played in Oakland. The Rolling Stones played in Oakland in 1994, and they win the Super Bowl. 1998, the Rolling Stones play in Oakland again, and they lose the NFC. Okay, then in 2002, the Rolling Stones play Pac Bell Park in San Francisco, and they lose the NFC. Then in 2013, the Rolling Stones play in San Jose and Oakland, and they lose the Super Bowl. And in 2019, the Rolling Stones play Levi Stadium, and they get in the Super Bowl and lose it. Now, the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl in 2023 and 24. And guess who's playing their stadium that year? The Rolling Stones. So here it is. Rolling Stones play Levi Stadium. The 49ers are going to the Super Bowl 2023, and we're playing in 2024. So the Stones are playing July 17th, the end of their American tour, in 2024 at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. So what a coincidence. So here's the core guys on the team celebrating with the trophy and the NFC Championship, going to the Super Bowl, and amazing, what a game, what a nail biter. It was 24-7 at halftime in favor of the Lions. Somehow the Niners came back, got ahead by 10 points, and won the game 31-34 final. And they're going to the Super Bowl, my boys. I'm loving it. Go Niners.